once again coming to you from my house for this week's edition of AM Central. As the days in quarantine fly by and we transition to the new ways of working from home, it's important to highlight some of the educators who are adapting and making the best of the situation for us students. Here's my English teacher, Mr. Keogh.
How am I doing during these times? I have to say I'm doing okay. Spent a lot of time reading, a good deal of time playing video games, watching television. This is the first time I've worn a tie in 40-something days, so that's a plus. How are you adapting to teaching or working from home? Well, there's obviously a few things that are different. I spend a lot of time in my pajamas as opposed to being dressed like this. I kind of set my own hours. It is nice to be able to just take a break whenever you'd like. But it is much harder than working when you guys are right in front of me. I can see who's on task. I can talk to people, see how they're doing in person, as opposed to having to ask digitally, which seems much more hollow. One of the biggest challenges of being home is not being able to see everybody every single day. I know people are dealing with some really hard times out there, but I have not spoken to some of them and I'm concerned. It's really difficult to come in contact with all students, especially if they're having technology issues. If you guys have any friends that you haven't spoken to in a while from school, just send them a text, just see how they're doing. What do you think school will be like when we go back? Honestly, I cannot predict that with any sort of accuracy. Imagine that hand sanitizer and those sort of things will be more readily available at school. And I think everyone personally will be more focused on making sure that everything they have and everything they touch is clean. Other than that, I could not tell you. I'd have to say if I was to give advice to students, it's just to hang in there. This is an unprecedented time and it's okay to reach out to others. It's okay to just feel like it's okay to be alone. So just try to find something that focuses you, something that you can pass your time with, something that you can do that just makes you happy, whether it's watching The Office or doing popsicle stick crafts. What do you miss the most about being at school? Honestly, the thing that makes me the happiest about going to work every single day is getting to laugh about some of the ridiculous things that they say, and talking with my coworkers, just generally joking around. I have a really good relationship with a lot of my students, and some of them are going to college, and can't tell you how that feels, not being able to see them again before they've graduated. Central family means a lot to me. This is one of the best jobs I've ever had, and I can't say that it's not something I miss. I miss it more than I could explain to you. What I've been doing to stay positive is kind of staying busy, whatever it is. I've baked a lot of cookies, played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I've done some writing and a lot of time on video calls. All of those things kind of keep my mind off of some of the worst aspects of the situation we're in. Probably the most exciting thing I've done over the last few weeks is I have gone kayaking. Got really sunburnt, but it was a lot of fun. Went about 8 miles. It was way more than I was ready for, but it was something that was just entertaining. It was good to get out into nature and just relax for a while. And will I miss my seniors? Of course I'm going to miss my seniors. That's the saddest part about not being able to go back. It's not being able to see you guys, not being able to see what you've done, what you've lived up to, not be able to tell you how proud I am of all of you.
As you can see, this isn't easy for anyone. Make sure to thank an educator and do your work. Till next time, it's Angie from AM Central.
Hi, it's Grace, and today I'm interviewing Miss G in order to get her perspective on this quarantine. Oh, how are you during this quarantine?
Grace, I'm doing good. As you can see, I put some little plants because I heard you're supposed to have something to look at when you're interviewing people. Things are going okay. I just miss everybody. I miss seeing my students every day. So weird not seeing you guys.
Yeah. So how is it like working from home and like trying to teach?
Remote learning is not easy for me, and I don't think it's easy for you guys either. I have to post assignments either once a week or twice a week, and it feels very disembodied and not personal. I shouldn't say only negative things because it's easy to be negative during quarantine, but I would say it's way better to have class in person. It makes me appreciate how we used to be together as a class, and students could learn better talking to each other in person. So
What would you say going along with that is like one of the bigger challenges of this?
I don't have a lot of computer skills. It's making me realize I need to learn how to run a remote class because it's not easy. And I take it for granted that everyone understands these things, and I don't even understand it. I had a meeting with some of my English department colleagues, and they were like, "Have you held a Zoom meeting with your class?" And I was like, "No, I don't even know how to invite people to Zoom. No."
So what do you think it'll be like when we eventually go back to school?
Okay, I've thought a lot about this. I think that we are going to, all right, the people like me, we're going to cry. Hopefully it'll be safe to hug. I don't know. Maybe we'll just do something like foot tap, elbow tap, but I don't know. I think it will be very emotional.
Yeah. So if you had to give any advice to like just the students in general, what would it be?
While you are on quarantine you should try baking some cookies. You like that move? I stole that from Stephen Colbert.
That's great.
Instead of meanwhile, he was like, quarantine while.
So obviously you said you missed like all your students and stuff, but like if you had to pick like one major thing that you missed most, what would it be?
That's a really good question, Grace. I think it would just be seeing the same people that I see every day and hearing about what's going on in their life, celebrating their successes with them, and hearing about something that's not so good, maybe talking it out. I miss having lunch with my squad. I used to always have lunch with you or with other students would come by. Now I have lunch with my plants and maybe, my Yeti friend, and we have lunch together because we're crazy, because we're in quarantine. So it's not the same. I miss human contact with my awesome students.
Yeah. Well, on the positive side though, like what would you say has been like one of the better things about the quarantine?
Well, one thing I thought I'd have a lot of time to do is read, but I found that I didn't have a really long attention span. However, if you read short stories or myths that are short, they're helpful to kind of like get your mind off of the stuff that's going on and get involved in a fictional world. So I would say if you are looking for something to read and you're tired of reading the news, check out a book of short stories, especially if your attention span is kind of, distracted just because of all the stuff going on.
So other than like school, obviously, like, what have you been doing just for enjoyment?
I've been doing some gardening, planting stuff in my yard. I've been baking and cooking. I made homemade kimchi with my husband. Kimchi is a spicy Korean cabbage dish that's fermented. It's pretty tasty. And I don't know, probably we didn't make it that good, but it tasted pretty good. Cross country, I've been trying to go for runs. I try to take my dog and she just pulls me along. So that's pretty cool to get outside.
Yeah.
And it's important, I think, for everybody who said what advice, another piece of advice would be to get outside,
For sure.
Oh yeah, can I give you one more advice using my teaching thing?
Yes.
Okay. Students, I'm going to teach you something that will help you. I haven't written anything yet, but I'm going to teach you something that will help you get through quarantine, okay? It's called the 3 C's, okay? The 3 C's are consumption. The second C is creation. And the third C is connection. So let me just put this up here for you. If you can split your time into your brain being consumed by an idea, either school or TV, that's a third of your time. Creation is time to make something, do an art project, maybe bake. And connection is time to spend with your family, text, Zoom, talk to people. These 3 things can help you, because sometimes you do only this one and you're like, I was a couch potato all day, I did nothing. I didn't make anything today, but if you did, you're like, ooh, look at me, I made something cool. And then connection, you're like, I actually talked to people instead of being a weirdo. So these 3 things might help you get through quarantine.
Miss G had mentioned that she had planted some flowers and she baked. So here are these pictures. That's all I have for you today. Stay safe.
Private schools will remain closed through the end of the school year.
Admits that it was a difficult decision to make, but he says the state will offer guidance to teachers as their students continue learning remotely.
Hello, I'm Tessa from Centro, and today I'm coming at you from my home with my puppy. Okay. And today I'm going to be interviewing a teacher to see how they're holding up during this quarantine with all the online learning. How are you doing during these times?
We're hanging in there. By we, I mean my family, which we're all together right now, right? And in some ways, we're doing well. I'm walking the dog a lot. I'm exercising a lot. We're seeing a lot of each other. But I really miss teaching. I really miss seeing everybody. I miss interacting with people. But overall, I mean, we're trying to make teaching and learning work here as best we can. But it's kind of a new reality. But I think every time I think about how much we are discomfited by what we're doing, I also think that people are dying. And we lost more people to COVID-19 than the Vietnam War. And that figure just astounded me. That in the process of 2 months, we've lost so many people. So, I remind myself of that, and that seems to make it a little better.
How are you adapting to teaching/working from home?
Well, instead of having everybody in front of me, I had to figure out a way to get things across. So what I did was I took my favorite teaching tool, which are the PowerPoint slides. I usually don't lecture in class a lot. Normally it's a lot more interactive, but that would kind of prove to be impossible. So what I did was I put a voiceover on top of my slides, and then put that up on Unified Classroom so everyone can see that. So at least the material's getting out there, and I'm assigning learning activities for people to read, videos to watch, discussion questions to think about, a few assignments to engage people. And I've also picked up Remind as the best way to keep in contact with students who apparently don't use email as much as us older folks do.
What are the biggest challenges of being home?
The biggest challenges of being home, it's that you have to have the discipline to create your own routine. Normally, life is dictated for us. I'm up at 5, I walk the dog, I work out, I eat breakfast, I go to school. There are deadlines to what we have to do. If you don't want to, it's really easy to not do stuff, to not exercise, to not do things. The dog makes me walk him either way. But other than that, it's really easy to get out of those routines. But the most challenging thing is being disciplined and getting things done. But it's nice having my wife with me because we support each other and we keep each other on track.
What do you think school will be like when we go back?
That's the big question. As I said during the Zoom call we just had, I think a lot of people are talking about it, and I don't think anybody really knows. I think it hinges on really 2 questions. One is testing, whether we have to find out who has this damn virus, and 2 is the vaccination, because if we can be vaccinated for it, then we're protected for it, and then we can go back to life as normal. I've heard ideas being tossed out there about having them scan every student. Well, students have to take buses to get there, and that's probably the worst. That's probably the worst atmosphere to be in. Would be a bus, and then if you think about how crowded Central High School's halls are, that's not going to work. We're a breeding ground for disease and sickness and illness as it is. So I think if we jump the gun and go in too soon, the results could be disastrous. And as much as I don't like e-learning, I'd much prefer to have e-learning than to have dead people. So that's kind of where we are.
Do you have any words of advice for students?
Exercise. As you know, I'm a big proponent of running and swimming, and exercise goes a long way to relieving stress, about getting out of your own head and really kind of working out and keeping you on some kind of routine. It's really tough in these times because, as I said before, the routine is out the window, and we feel isolated because there's not a lot of socialization going on. So I think we have to be disciplined to reach out to people that we care about, talk to them, engage with other people, and to try and keep that routine. But again, regular exercise is a big deal because that'll make you feel good. It'll boost your immune system so you won't get it, and you'll just feel better. So and try as best you can. I know the motivation is low, and that's understandable. When you're at home, it's locked in, not seeing your friends. It's tough to do. It's tough to look at all that work. It's easier to push it off, but do what you got to do. Keep your eye on the long game, I guess.
What do you miss the most about being at school?
People. I miss the people. I interact with people, hundreds of people. I mean, just in students, I've got 125 students that I see pretty much every day, and all the people in the hallways, and my friends, the faculty, administration. Mr. Tokars and I have intense political discussions every morning when he comes around. And I just miss people. I find myself when I'm out running and riding, even walking the dog, I wave to everybody. It's like, well, hey, there's a person. Hey, how are you? Even if I don't know them, just because we're missing that socialization piece. And I find something interesting is that during this time when everyone's locked in, people that I know, everyone's reaching out to people that are important to them. You know, whether it's Zoom, I've heard from people that I haven't heard from in a while. You kind of make a priority. Let me stay in touch with them. Let me reach out to them and see how they're doing. And so that's a long answer to your short question.
Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you got an idea of how the teachers' outlook on this whole situation is and how they're feeling about the online learning.
This week, we wanted to check in on some teachers and staff to see how they were doing during quarantine. This is Coach Coffin. Let's see what he has to say about it.
Hi, Paul. This is Coach Coffin. Answering your question, what's the biggest challenges of being home during this quarantine? Besides trying to fight cabin fever personally, professionally, it is remote learning. There's different aspects to it, different platforms that we have to keep checking and checking to make sure students are doing their work. So I hope all is well. We miss everyone at Central. Hope everyone stays safe and well, and we will see you soon. Take care.
So that shows how difficult it is, not for only students, but for teachers as well.
Hello, I'm Bandana, and I'm coming to you from my phone during this pandemic. Good morning, Centro. Today we're going to go from my home to all the way to Miss Wells' home, an amazing teacher and a faculty member of the Springfield Public Schools.
Greetings from home. I'm Miss Wells, and I was asked to do a video interview for one of my students' video projects. So I'm here to talk about what life is like during the COVID-19 pandemic for me. I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there. I'm, making the best of it. And some days I have a little breakdown, and some days are better than others. And some days, I just read all day and I don't even want to get out of bed. I did that a lot during vacation, and it was awesome. I've been adapting to teaching, working at home. Okay. I feel like I had already gotten a lot of the technology stuff involved in my classroom, and so I feel like that was an advantage for me because I already was in contact digitally with my students. I already had a Remind set up, and we were already using Unified Classroom. So I feel like that's been a success, and I feel like I'm reaching a lot of my students, even if they're not all engaging. But you know what? School's not the most important thing right now. It's not. I wish that it will be again someday, but it's just not right now. Survival's more important, and taking care of your family is more important, and making sure everybody is safe and healthy. That's the most important thing. So, and I've been just trying to remember that as a teacher. as much as I can. The biggest challenges of being home, I think, are loneliness. I miss my friends and I miss my family. I still see my mom, which is really good and I'm really happy about. But I miss my brother, and I miss my nieces, and I miss the rest of my family. I miss my friends. I miss my students. So it's been really hard. I've been very lonely, which is kind of a bummer. But, we stay in touch different ways. We got the Snapchat, we got the Facebook, we got the Teams and stuff. So it's, you do what you can. So I think the other biggest challenge that I've had is working a normal day, because I'm not what you would call a morning person. I'm nocturnal by nature. And so waking up in the morning has not really been a thing, but I do work. I get all my stuff done. I just do it later in the day, which I think puts me on more of a student schedule anyway. So that's kind of a thing. I don't know what school's going to be like when we go back. I can't imagine that it's going to be normal. I can't imagine that we're going to go back to having 30 kids in a classroom with desks 3 inches apart. I don't think that will work. Unless they figure out a vaccine or a cure, and I don't see that happening. So I don't know what they're going to come up with, and I gotta tell you, I'm just glad that I'm not in charge of figuring that out. So good luck to those who are. My biggest advice for students is just keep your brain active and just do the best you can. Just do the best you can to take care of yourself and to take care of your family. And after that, get your schoolwork done, but be safe first and foremost, and be sane first and foremost. Take care of yourself, and not just physically, but mentally as well. The thing I miss the most about school is my students. I miss seeing them every day. I miss talking to them. I miss joking with them. I miss the connections that we have in class. I miss. And the thing that I miss the most in the pandemic as a whole, I miss hugs. I like hugs and I miss them a lot. And I hope that someday we go back to some sense of normalcy where I can hug people again, because I really, really miss that a lot. So in closing, I hope that everyone's doing okay, and I hope that you are staying safe and that you are staying sane and that you are healthy, and I hope to see you soon. Good luck. Bye.
So a big thank you goes out to Miss Wells for coming on our show and making it a little bright and more fun and sharing us some of your thoughts and wisdom. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you guys stay safe.